You want the truth? You can't handle the truth. Son, we live in a world that has grass, and that grass needs to be taken care of. Who's going to do it? You? You listeners? We have a greater responsibility than you can possibly fathom. You weep for our pretty yards and curse the SodFathers. You have that luxury. You have the luxury of not knowing what we know. Our pretty yards, while gorgeously green, probably inspire others. And our tireless conversations about lines and the products we use save lawns. You don't want the truth because deep down in places you don't talk about at parties, you want me in that lawn. You need me on that lawn. We use words like Milorganite, aerator, unicorn pea. We use those words as a backbone of a life spent defending something we love. You use them as a punchline. I have neither the time nor the inclination to explain myself to people who rise and sleep staring at our yards, then question the manner in which I take care of it. I would rather you just say, damn, that yard is beautiful, and went on your way. Otherwise, I suggest you jump on your mower and get to putting down your own lines. Fellas, we've had some big artists. We've had some huge people on this show. We've had D1 basketball coaches. We've had 2 live musicians that were badass. But today, fellas, we meet the pinnacle. Today, we have the SodFather, Rob Pate, the man who has the most beautiful yard known to man. And I'm so excited to have him on the show tonight. Otherwise known as the hose dragger. Folks, this is Rob Pate coming at you, the SodFather of lawns. Welcome to the show, Rob. I'm pumped to have you, man.
Hey, I'm excited to be here, guys. I appreciate you inviting me on.
I feel like I've got so many questions out of the gate. They're like hose dragger. Yeah. Was that your nickname in college? Or
yeah, I'd go for that one first. Yeah. I'm the only one in our group that doesn't have irrigation. So I'm up early dragging hoses. The old man hose dragger. So dragging hoses around.
It's 2 parts. It's 2 parts. Don't let Karen. Yeah. Don't let Karen lie to you. She calls him the hose dragger too. He doesn't have irrigation, so he gets up in the morning and drinks his coffee at 4 a.m. and moves the sprinkler around to make sure he has all the right spots.
So is that? Do you get extra credit for the lawn for that, or do you lose?
I get a lot of steps in. I'll say that steps and moving it around. Yeah. But I'm on my way to irrigation. I almost got the landscaping done to put that irrigation in. So, but Craig gets up and shows pictures all the time of him sitting back and just watching the sprinklers go. And I'm like, I just got to get me an automatic sprinkler system, Craig. I dream of those days,
Just turned mine on last week. It's a wonderful moment. You get them all right, the heads all pop out, and then you have to set them at night, make sure everything's working right. And then the next morning, I'm just so excited to go get my coffee, and I sit on the front porch, watch my sprinklers go off on my pretty yard. Oh yeah, that's a moment right there.
What time are we waking up to enjoy this, Craig? What time are you out on your porch enjoying your sprinklers and everything?
I'm an old man that can't sleep, anymore. So if I sleep to 7:15, that is a late day. So on average, I'm up and coffee's made by 6:30, and that's no alarm. That's no need to have to think about getting up. But Robbie's like shooting texts at like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. He's out there drinking his coffee, walking around dragging the hoses. So
I was going to ask.
I'll be up early.
I feel like the morning waters is like a 5:30 deal, right? For the ideal time.
Yeah.
Well, it's on my list of questions for sure.
Go ahead, Robbie. Give them the background, brother.
Break it down.
As far as the grass goes,
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about? Yeah. I don't know. When I grew up as a kid, I hated cutting grass. If I could find a way to sabotage a lawnmower, and I hated it. And then somewhere along the line, I don't know where it happened, but my first house, I bought a book, and I was like, I'm going to learn how to take care of because we didn't have 20-something years ago. You just didn't have what we have now on the internet, so you kind of had to educate yourself. So I bought some books, read some stuff, and that's how I got into doing it. But and then it became a passion. And then I didn't even know there was that many people out there. Then I meet Craig and a group of guys at work, and we're all really passionate about it. And it's some worse than others. I can be pretty ate up over it, and you can make some people in the neighborhood pretty jealous. I've lost some friends over it. When they're looking at the lawn, there's been some divorces that have taken place where they're like, "Why can't you be like that? Have a yard like that?" No, I'm just making that up, but I mean, it can get pretty bad. When you're going, you got to lie. Like we have this thing where it's dominate thy neighbor, and you can't share what you do. You can lead them, but you just can't show your full hand there of what you're doing to the lawn. You just can't do it. So.
You can teach them everything they know. You just can't teach them everything you know. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I can. Yeah.
So does that mean?
line,
So does that mean you've got some details you're going to withhold from us just because you're worried your neighbors might?
No, I mean I can. Yeah. No, I can share. I can give some secrets. Yeah.
he can share all the stuff, but you got to put in the work. Rob puts in the work, and I don't think people understand the amount of work you got to do just to keep your yard. I'm not going to get to Robbie's level yet. I would love to, but I'm even where I love my yard, and I'm like, dude, my boy is killing me because he's got that extra. It's like Jordan. Jordan went to the. He put in that extra time. It's not just game day. You got to have the all the time game going. So the line of domination.
You got to be like the Rain Man.
Then,
you got to be like I buy my fertilizer at Kmart. You got to be into it. But so yeah, it's nuts. It is. My wife, spending the money. I mean, there's a little bit of money that you spend, and the time you got to get out there and do it. And like I said, it's a passion. You get into learning about the lawn. I mean, from the PA, like Craig was talking, how it starts, like the way I do it, I'll just say, I mean, one thing is first finding out where your soil is. That's the main thing. If you're talking about grass, if you do want to get into it, if anybody was ever wanting to get into it, it's being able to find out what your soil, and that's free. Well, it's not free, but you take a soil sample, send it off to the county extension, then they'll send you back an analysis and tell you what you need in your yard. And so that's where you're going to be able to start, so there's some science behind it. And then once you get that, then you determine where you're at, and then that's how you set up your program, and you start going from there.
So you going chemicals? So you going all natural? Like, what are we talking about here?
No, I'm synthetic. I've used some natural products. And one of the fertilizers I like. If we talk about fertilizers, there's a lot of products, but fertilizers. One's Lowe's. If you buy like a Stay Green, it's their brand. It's got humic acid in it. It's got sea kelp. It's got iron, and those are soil amendments. Not the iron, but the other two. And it'll make your grass pop. I mean, and it really, you could, it feeds for about 6 months. You can do, I feed, 4 to 5 times a year, just fertilizer. Then I use iron and some other products that I use, and then, just a program that you do. But it's just, once you start doing it and cutting your grass tall, you can make your grass look just like a golf course, but,
Hold on.
see kelp.
Yeah.
See kelp.
Yeah. I mean, we're you guys are getting like Nat's ass level detail here. So, and Craig, you threw out some things. Did you say Walter Cronkite and unicorn pea? What did you say?
Yep. Malorganite, and unicorn pea. And I don't. Rob uses the unicorn pea, and then our good friend Nally uses the unicorn pea. But and I tried for one season. I bought the backpack fertilizer sprayer that you walk behind, and that's one of the ones I was like, "Nah, sorry, brother. It's a where did you get your product? What's the unicorn pea, Rob? Come on, give us
I use Green County. The lawn care nut is Alan Hain. He's on YouTube. One of the original SodFather, somebody that is a mentor of mine. When I watch, learn a lot of stuff from him.
The lawn care nut.
Yeah, LCN.
You said the lawn care nut. That's his name. Okay.
Yeah, and he's crazy about it. He used to live in Indiana, now he lives in Florida, and then there's a couple other ones that I've watched too. And it's funny because they all come to Louisville for the what is it called, it's where they bring all the equipment. I can't think of the convention.
the big conference they have.
Yeah, but it's a huge conference where they come for all the farm machinery and the grass, and all the guys come. And Craig and I, we've always talked about going, but we never have.
Farm and machinery show.
Well,
it's specific to grass. It's specific to mowers and grass.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The farm and machinery show is more for cows and pigs, and livestock and shit. We talking people that just want to mow. So yeah, it's and I've got an in, by the way. Now I've got the guy that can get us. You got to have like a vendor pass or a vendor association to get into that one. But I've got us the in now. But so Rob, break us down like a. Let's go out there. Let's get started. Let's do like what do you like? You do a pH balance. Is that
no? I haven't done. I mean, I did a soil test. I haven't done that in a while. I mean, just the what an average person is just mainly cutting, and then I'm just what the grass is telling me. I'm trying to. I don't have irrigation, so I'm shooting for at least an inch a week in water. That's what you're looking for optimal. You want that. So spread out your waterings if you're a hose dragger, or set the dial like Craig does with the automatic sprinklers. It's irrigation system, but. I don't usually check to see what I can see that with what the grass looks like, but I'm still just doing my program of fertilizing. And then the unicorn pea that Craig's talking about, that's iron. That makes your grass just dark. I mean, you got nitrogen, the NPK that's on the bag of your fertilizer, and it tells you what's in the fertilizer, but not to nerd out, but
nerd out.
Oh, we're there.
We're all in.
But the iron, the iron is what makes it green and makes it pop, and that's what Craig, bought the backpack sprayer, and you spray it, and you got to be careful because you can turn your lawn black. I've done that where you try to really put down and dominate the neighbor, then you really look stupid because your yard starts turning black in spots, and mine did, and it comes back. It didn't kill it, but I was worried there for a little while, but it really makes it dark green.
So you threw out an inch of water a week.
Well, that's what you want. That's what you want to try is throw out an inch, spread out over 7 days.
And that's a minimum?
No, that's not the minimal. That's just that would be ideal. That's what you're shooting for to have the optimal conditions for fescue, for bluegrass, rye, or whatever mix you got. Here we got cool season grasses here in this zone that we live in. So that's what you're trying to shoot for is roughly about an inch. And I've got a rain gauge. I'll check it, But,
so you've got a rain gauge.
That's what you're trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just translation. Like, could get a conversion here?
Yeah. So
how long do I run it?
Yeah.
Here, let me tell you this. So if you're running sprinklers, it's a real easy thing is you can take tuna cans and you'll take a tape measure and you'll put a little Sharpie mark in there at a 1/2 inch inside the tuna can. And then if you had like 2 or 3 of those, lay those in the path of your sprinkler and let it run for roughly like 30 minutes, let's say. And then you're going to check those cans and you're going to see if you're getting a 1/2 inch in those areas. Then you can judge what your sprinkler's putting out, and the same thing goes for like if you had an irrigation like what Craig's got, they can do the math by how much that head is spraying out. So they kind of know calculation wise. But if you're just buying, big box store sprinklers like I got, the hose draggers got, you could use the tuna can method. Works really well as far as being able to figure out that you're putting down a 1/2 inch of, or what you're putting down in like a 30-minute span.
All right. And we're supposed to do this in the morning. We're supposed to do this in the morning, right? Like
morning's the best because you're trying to avoid evaporation. You're wanting to get the most bang for your buck. Not water at night. That causes fungus. In the heat that we're having now.
Fungus among us.
You can get the
fungus among us is a real phrase in our world. You don't want the fungus. You start getting mushrooms a little too wet. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, mushrooms is not bad. Mushrooms means something's good's taking place. It's really like if you got brown patch or if you got some rust, different funguses that grow on there. But yeah, so mainly water in the morning. That's what you want to do, in the morning before sun's coming up.
But you were saying the heat we've got right now, and for those not in Louisville, it is beyond. It's summer just hit and came in punching everybody in the face. So the heat we have right now, would you hit it again at night? Little nightcap for
I
the
mean,
lawn?
you could. It's you risk with the humidity. Apparently, what I just learned the other day, I've been doing this, lawn stuff for a while, for 20 years or whatever. But and the other day, I was watching a video. I learn something new all the time. But apparently, grass, when it's high humidity, will secrete a sugar water. So, and it's not FODM, but I swear I think that's what the guys called it. But it secretes a sugar water in the morning, and fungus will feed on that. So if you could, when you water at night, it somehow, and then it'll produce this sugar water in the morning. So that's why it's best to run it in the morning. Sometimes you can run it in the morning every day, so you can knock that off when you're knocking that sugar water down, is what the guy said, early in the morning. But you usually want to run your sprinklers in the morning. You could run it, spacing it out at night, if that, worst case, like what we're having, the extreme heat we're having now. But I wouldn't want to risk it too much, because you'd be pushing the limits of setting yourself up for fungus. And then by the time you get it, sometimes it takes a while. It can be unsightly. But,
Yeah.
So, okay. So that's, so irrigation, we got to do it in the morning, about an inch. And then what's the right
a
time
week.
of
Well,
day
for
that-
the whole week. It could be
oh.
a half inch, but you're shooting for 7 days. You're shooting for about an inch, is what you're shooting for.
All right. And not all at once.
Not all at
Mine
once.
goes.
Usually
mine go off at 6 a.m. Mine go off at 6 a.m. in the morning, and they run each zone for about 20 minutes. And I've got 5 zones for my front yard, and then I know you're supposed to have this 1 inch, but I have to equally balance water needed for my yard and how to keep my wife not screaming at me about the water bill. So it's a difficult balance.
Yeah.
You have to have, like we're allowed to have wide open budgets for hair products and things, but the things I love, those have a limit. Yep. So with those,
Well, but I'm sure that you went
we have
through
to
the
save on water
process
line.
of separating sewage, right? So you.
Oh, I know. Yeah, well, I've got the irrigation meter. I've got an irrigation meter
that's
and,
right.
and the water meter. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
I don't. Even
That save money.
Yeah, I don't. So you're playing the runoff too. Yeah, so it's expensive business.
Okay, so we got irrigation. So and there's an ideal time. You got more irrigation questions, Red?
Well, I just no. Well, yes.
I just like it. I just like the face. I just like the face he has the whole time. He's just looking dumbfounded on video.
Well, I feel like I'm taking notes
YouTube.
mentally here.
Yeah,
I'm so glad
trying
we're
to.
recording this. Well, because I've never done the tuna can method, right? But like I ran mine for 10 minutes this morning. Craig's running his for 20. I'm feeling like I'm not running mine enough.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to up.
Well, what you're trying to do,
I think I'm a 20.
Here's what you're trying to do. Infrequent watering is what you're trying to do. So infrequent, if you water every single day, then the grass never will grow root systems to try to reach for the water. So because if it's getting water and you're watering the first 6 inches or of the soil, then you're training the grass to have short roots. And so infrequent watering, but deep watering will push the roots down. It's forcing the plant itself to grow deeper roots to get that water and support itself for the days you're not watering. So you're training to have, because 3 inches of grass, a tall fescue can have 36 inches of root system, coming off that plant. And that's why you would do the infrequent watering. So 10 minutes would be truly actually not enough. So you would try to hit that, if you space it out four waterings a week, you're looking for a quarter inch each time, or 2 waterings, a half inch. You're trying to get that 1 inch. And depending on how you do it, but you want to try to do it infrequent, like three times a week would be sufficient. And that would you could spread that out throughout that. That's what you're trying to do. The infrequent though, is watering every day would be more of a it would hurt it more than it would help it.
I'm a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday guy.
Yeah, I got to change my schedule right after this.
So okay, so we got the irrigation down. So now the actual cutting of the grass.
Hold on. Is that where we go, or let's ask the expert? Are we supposed to just go immediately
Well, you could because it'd be a program if you call it, and that'd be part of your program, and it could be either watering and cutting, and then fertilization, but you could jump to fertilization from the watering, whatever products you're wanting to use, but since you
Linda,
said cutting,
Well,
go
give
ahead.
us give us a
Yeah.
give us a little look into a 2-week window, like a 2-week window. You already got the irrigation going, and then you're mowing on regular. But how often are we putting down product? And then are you mowing? I believe I know the answer for you because you and I have talked about this. But are you mowing and then laying product? Are you laying product then mowing? And then how often of what product are you producting on the mowing?
Too many questions, Craig.
Yeah.
We got to
Well,
let's get
how often are you mowing?
the mowing. I want to know about mowing and weed eating. And then how many patterns are you doing in your yard? Let's start there. Let's baby steps.
Let's do
baby
the cutting.
steps.
Yeah. So pattern like mowing on my yard. I like my blades. I probably sharpen them through a season, probably at least 4 times, and maybe more, but 4 times I'll usually take my blades off my mower.
That's like
and
every 3 weeks, once a month. Man.
Well, I start cutting in usually in April, and then I'm cutting up until almost December, November, depending on our weather sometimes, around here. Because I'm feeding, I'm pushing growth. I mean, except for summertime. Summertime, I'm not really pushing any growth, but you
don't want to be that. You don't want to be that yard that goes dormant first, and then you're like the neighbor's yard looks like shit. You want to be the yard that stays the greenest till deep into winter, and then the neighbors are like,
"Oh yeah, I'm feeding like
his
crazy.
yard still looks beautiful."
Yeah. But no, I like I said, I take they're fairly easy to get off. I got like a mower jack, but I'll take them off, sharpen them up, and it doesn't have to be razor sharp. It's just keeping them sharp, because if you get those when you go to cut, if we're talking about cut, when you go to cut your grass, how you really need to sharpen your blades is when you look back or you go to pick a blade up, you want a sharp cut. You don't want tears in it. If you look at one grass blade and you've got tears in it, multiply that times thousands, if not millions, in your yard of grass blades, and you see a hue of either white or brown, and so it takes away from the greenery of the grass, because you can have a guy that's got grass that is just as healthy, if not healthier, than the guy next door, but if he's got really dull blades or they're filmed up with grass because they've been cutting when it's wet, it'll have a hue to it, of the brown or the white look to it, and it won't look as good as the next door neighbor, yard. And it's all just due with the blades being sharp, So it's just important really to keep your blades sharp. It keeps it healthy too, because when you have those tears, what I've learned is that allows fungus or even pests, but it allows things to enter the grass because it's been torn. It takes a while for it to repair. So it's really important to have the sharp blades on whatever mower you're using.
So Red, you're inadequate in your watering. I am definitely inadequate in my sharpening of the blades.
I've got to check boxes.
And I mean,
so
it's
far,
easy.
Neil, I'm inadequate in everything so far.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. It's through this conversation tonight, you'll hopefully you learn something. But at the same time, what I'm saying is really, it becomes muscle memory. I mean, of course, I'm overboard. I mean, nobody's going to be, like I say, the Rain Man like me, but if you do take some of the steps, but if you take some of the steps, you will see results pretty quick, and you'll be amazed. You'll be like, man, it looks that much more curb appeal to the house, just when you got the grass popping, So, but yeah, so mowing, like I said, sharp blades. I used to alternate a cut every single time, so I would cut some different direction every single time. If you do that, you will make the grass stand straight up. So you will so it's forcing, because you're not training the grass to lay one direction every single time. So, but I play the sun because I like to stripe my grass. So when you're striping the grass, you're playing the direction of where your house faces and how your lawn sets. So you're trying to play the reflectiveness of the sun, so the front of my house faces east. So when I cut, I'll cut east, west, and then I'll cut from like south, north, northeast or whatever. I'm trying to get diamonds or I'm trying to play that reflectivity of the sun. So when you're driving down the road, or depending on the angle you're looking, you'll get those stripes and it pops. So when you're looking at the grass and you see the dark stripes, that's coming towards you. That's the grass blades laying towards you. And then when you see the light stripes, that's the grass blades laying away from you. So it just, and that's what we try to play, is the stripe game when we're sending out stuff. So it's cutting, but I'll cut 2 to 3 different directions, normally.
And so if you've got a break in your yard from like a driveway, or like I've got an oval shaped driveway, do you try and keep the same pattern throughout the entire yard? Or are you like mixing it up based on, like, it's all, I guess you said it's all east west, so it's all the same pattern?
Yeah, I mean, I do in my front yard, but like my backyard, I'll play it up and I'll do like if I do a pattern, I'll do a plaid pattern, in the backyard sometimes, so that when you're looking over, you see it, or I'll do them all the same. But yeah, I'll try to switch it up for the health of the grass, not cutting it the same way every single time. And
I just put a couple pictures of your yard in our group chat that we have for the I think I did for the Southern Hang. I could have put it right back into the same.
No,
okay, good. Well, we have a group chat, me, Rob, and 2 other guys that I work with. We call the SodFathers, and we just shoot each other pictures of our lawns, and then we're like, "Ooh, so proud of you, bro! Oh, so pretty! Like, kudos! Like, we're cheering each other." So I just stole a couple pictures out of that group chat and put it into our Southern Hang group chat so the boys could see your yard. But yeah, his dark green is pretty impressive, man. So I did the wave. I did a wave cut here like 2 weeks ago. That turned out pretty well. But I live on a corner lot, so I have a tough time. I don't have the nice even rectangle where I can just pull off. Mine, I got to work with that round curve, and so it gets me sometimes on my cuts. But I'm always trying to. I'm driving on my mower, making a cut, and contemplating the math on the next cut, but where I should be, to try to pull off some different pattern the next time that we're doing it.
So this is a rookie question. Forgive me. You can tell where I am. So I'm looking at this picture and I'm seeing sidewalks. So do we just pretend like the sidewalk's not there, or do we do our own section when we get to the sidewalk?
No, I pretend like it's just not there. Like I'll continue the pattern through the sidewalk into the easement, if you want to call it part of the property, that I'll just carry on through.
And if you see a neighbor or perhaps somebody out in Oldham County where there's a different pattern beyond the sidewalk, is that a mockable offense or?
No. Some try harder. So yeah, no, it's not. I don't. Yeah, Craig and I can't.
I can't get my mower high enough because I don't own a commercial mower. It's a zero turn, but it's not a commercial mower, so I can't get it high enough. And I've looked at trying to rig my whole suspension so I can get an extra inch or inch and a half. Mm-hmm. But when I go over the front of my lawn, I know there's so many of those. There's so many in this episode. This episode, the hose dragger, you just need an inch. Like there's a whole bunch. We've just had one after another. But I can't, when I go over the edge of my lawn, the blades are too low, and so it scars the front. And so I pretty much stay with the same pattern on that little front portion between the sidewalk and the street. That little 2 to 3 path. Mm-hmm. I just do that. I do that pretty much the same every time. But it pisses me off because I really do want to have that pattern the whole way. But every time I go over that edge, it burns the edge of my grass, and so it's just not worth it where I'm going to burn up my grass. So I leave that the same most times.
So let's talk tips on striping. So you went.
Yes.
You're giving us some directional indicators, right, based upon playing off the sun and everything else. So, like, I had a striping kit on my old push mower, which good job, which did the trick, obviously. But now my Cub Cadet doesn't do a good job of striping, right? It's like
build you one.
Say again.
Build you a striping kit.
Well, I thought about that. I've also tried to go back, so you get done cutting, right? I cut it like 4.5 inches. I think is what I got it set on. I don't know if that's actually 4.5 or not. What she said, but after I get done, like I'll actually lower the deck and then, obviously not cutting the grass, but just trying to push the grass down, right? Like put it down like 1.5 inches or something like that, right? Just trying to get the grass to lay down. But are there other tricks of the trade to stripe?
There is, but I mean, putting on either buying a striping kit for that mower, which they make them. Big Leagues is a brand that makes them for any mower, from push mowers to riding mowers, and they're a group of rollers, and they usually base it off of, like, if it's a riding mower, they'll base it off center of tire to center of tire, because that's the part of the mower that's not actually been in the grass blade is the deck. It's usually the tires that you get that are pushing that grass blade over. So you're trying to capture what's in between the tires. So you could make you one. It's hard. Like, I've got a homemade one. I use a mat. It's a really heavy duty stall mat from Tractor Supply. It's like what people would use in their gym. The heavy gym mat. It's like 5/8 thick. And it really strikes. I mean, it lays the grass down, because I was going to buy like a big league roller, but after I built this, and I have to replace the mat, every 1.5 years, because I'll turn and end up messing the mat up or something. But I've got Unistrut and the mat that kind of comes down, and it lays some serious stripes. And then if I really want to do it, I do like you. I call it burning it. We call it burning it in. So you're going to double cut. So you're going to go right over your pattern again, and you're going to really lay down that grass to try to get that what you're doing. But the problem is, your deck really is not the rollers on your deck, and the deck itself. It's really not getting those grass blades down enough to get that stripe down. And cutting it taller helps, though. If you're maxing your height of cut, then you're trying to stripe. That's how you get the best stripes, is trying to, on your grass type, either it be fescue. I mean, I cut it 4 3/4 tall, so my grass is really tall. My dog does not like it. She protests going out to try to use the bathroom half the time in the backyard because it's too tall. And so I've got to change my cut in the backyard to please my dog, because she runs the house. But in the front yard, I cut it 4 3/4, and it's pretty tall. But I get some really good stripes.
Go on mute for a second here, just so I can ask this question. Is 4.5 big enough?
Sherman, if you have to ask.
He threw out 4 3/4, and yeah. So 4 3/4, is that the optimal?
That's really. I think it's a little high for most people. Just because it's. But I mean, because I just do it because I'm unirrigated. So the taller your grass is, and not geeking out, but it keeps for two things. It keeps weeds down. For one, the taller your grass, you're choking out the sunlight that makes it to the ground, and then it keeps the ground cool. So when you're unirrigated, I play that game of Mother Nature. I'm playing when I'm not traveling, I try to water when I'm home, and then I try to cut tall so I can try to keep as much moisture there. But if you're irrigated, you can cut shorter, because you're one day I'll be there where Craig's at.
Hey, you saying you're traveling, that kind of gives us the segue into your story. Like, I've heard it multiple times. I think it's freaking hilarious. But you being on the road and trying to talk to Karen over your security cameras so that she'll move your your watering around. Can you give us the 2 minute on that story?
Yeah, just real quick. So I'm traveling and so I'm looking at the cameras, because we just had sod laid. We just had moved in the house, and I got the security cameras up, and I'm telling her to move the sprinklers around, and I'm like, no, you got to move it like over to the left a little bit, like. And then she's like, you're left. No, you're left. And move it over there. And she's moving it over, and she's putting it down, and she's yelling, and she's cussing. And I think the neighbors think she's got Tourette's, but because she's yelling, they don't know she's yelling at the camera. They just hear her yelling, and she's yelling at the corner of the house. And then she's like, I'll let it all die if And so it was pretty. That week was because we got like the weather we're having right now. And we had sod down, and I was having to just keep throwing the water to it. And I thought, well, I'm going to lose. I just paid all this money for the sod, and and I don't have the irrigation. So yeah, and bless her heart, she was trying to do what I asked her to do, because you got to get the sprinkler set and everything. So she was doing the best she could.
Well, then you got to move the
But hey, I
sprinklers,
want
right?
Go ahead. I want to throw this out here real quick for you guys to check this out. So there's a guy, he's in Louisville. His name's Lawn Dude. And you might have heard about this guy. So it's pretty cool. We're talking about striping. So it's kind of a cool technology, but he went to a ballpark. This guy has a professional, he has it's an air printer. Basically, it looks like a 0-turn mower. And what it is it uses CAD software. And so it has this on top of the mower. It has this it's like a sensor, and it reads off of it's got a transom, or it shoots the pattern to the mower, and you have to drive and keep the mower. You can look it up on YouTube, but so it'll print any design in the grass. And it's not even cutting the grass. It's using air knives because it's got blower on the mower itself, and it can put any design you can think of in the grass. And I think Craig should contact him and put in, Southern Hang, because he does it over on Hikes Lane. He does it on Hikes Lane, and he has this field there that he does all kinds of different things right over off Hikes Lane. So it's pretty amazing. A good call. And there's only 6 of those machines in the United States. So
Lawn Dude.
What is it?
Yeah, the Lawn Dude. Yeah, look it up. It's really cool. Yeah, it's like an air knife machine.
What's the hip hop guy that he did his yard? He was a pretty big dude.
Oh man, yeah.
What was that big? It was the big chubby.
Yeah, I cannot think of his name now. I knew.
Maybe DJ Khalil, DJ Khalid or Khalid,
and another one,
Khalid or something.
DJ Khalid.
And he did BMW. He's done a bunch. He's traveling all over, but he got one of those machines. He's got in here in Louisville, so it's pretty amazing if you check it out.
Yeah, but they can put down all kinds of prints on the thing. So pretty cool stuff, man. So yeah, no, we geek out on this shit. So. Red, I think your first mower for your Hearst house was my old mower, didn't you?
I think you gave
buy
it to
a mower
me.
from
I think
me.
You gave it to
me.
I think you gave it to me.
That was a good little Honda. It was a great push.
It was an awesome lawnmower.
It worked great for years. I don't know if it still got handed down to anybody else, but it was great for me for a long time.
I don't know where it went. I don't know where it went, Craig.
That thing started every time. I put some good lines down with that mower.
The house that I bought where I needed that lawnmower, this guy owned his own yard, like landscaping company. So like the yard was pristine, and I was like, this grass stuff is easy. No, by the time I moved out of that house, the yard didn't look nearly as good, but the lawnmower still worked. Yep. Is there a trick to? Do you weed eat first as opposed to cutting grass, or do you cut the grass and then weed eat? Does that matter?
That's a great question. Great question. But so here's the reason I look at it, because I see people doing it all the time. Even the guys that actually cut grass do it different ways. But I prefer to mow first, because when you're using say a 0-turn, any push mower 0-turn, when you want your your edges to be crisp, that's the last thing you want to do, because when I turn I flip my trimmer up and I'm holding it as I'm walking down, and I cut I trim it tight, it's standing straight up. And so if you were to trim first, then you go to mow, you're going to have your tire marks that are going to push that grass down in every place you just went by and trimmed it up. So my theory is you want to trim it up, get it tight at the end, because that's your final. Mm-hmm. And then I use the blower. When I blow, I use the blower to reinforce that, because I like a crisp edge, like I crease my pants when I iron them down. No, but I like them to be,
I'm thinking instead of that's what she said, we'll just ring a bell every time that something comes up. I'll just do like a little ching ching, like the baseball clicker every. I've never even thought about that, Rob. You said, like, I always edge first before I mow, but that's just because that's the pattern I like to do because I like to get my hard parts over. I like to do the edging and the weeding first, and then mow because that's easier. And then I blow everything off. I've never even thought about it. My tires laying it over before I edge. So, some of
well, and you say you're using the blower to reinforce that. Like, is this commercial grade? Like,
yeah, I do have
20-pound
it.
ball
I'm
bearings,
trying to
backpack
upgrade.
blower.
Yes. I mean, when I don't try to. Whenever I've replaced, I mean, back in the day, I had a Craftsman mower. First mower. It actually mowed pretty good, and everything I had was, a certain grade. And then as I went to replace, I'm like, hey, I'm just going to buy something a little bit better to try to get it, just like we do with everything else, just get a little better. And it actually would last longer, and it was just that much better. It made your lawn even look that much better from the mower to the blower, and so, yeah, I do have a backpack blower but I have some leaves now. I have a woods behind the house. So it comes in handy for those type things, but it does help blow the edge up, after you've even trimmed, just to even make it stand up even more. So, and it makes it
now,
crisp.
I like my edges to not have leftover grass in there. Some people just blow the sidewalk off.
No, I blow all that out. Yeah.
I don't like my edge to have that leftover grass. It drives me nuts. I'll walk by other people's houses that have a really nice yard, and they just leave the edging. They'll have the grass down in that. I'm like, blow it out. Like, it takes an extra 2 seconds.
I usually go get my backpack blower and go to their house, Craig. That's what I do.
No, well, that's what we're dominating.
Like,
dominate thy neighbor. Yeah.
So start to finish, what are we looking at here? So mowing, weed eating, getting the blower. Like, how many hours are we putting in a week here?
I've got almost an acre, and it probably, I'm going to say an hour and a half if I'm like going at a pretty good speed, like from cutting, because I've got landscaping and the driveway and everything else, but I mean,
can we cut that and re-record, because it takes me a little longer, and my wife's always saying, hey, speed things up.
Well, I think what you got to find out, Neil, is how big is this deck? Is your deck as big as his deck?
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, the deck takes up a lot of the
yard. Oh, hell, I had something. I had somewhere I was going. Now it's gone. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So, peak season, Robbie, peak season. Grass is growing at prime speed. I'm like a 5 every 5 days. I'm not a once. I don't do like, well, it's Saturday. Nope. I go roughly about every 5 days is when I have to mow. So and then I'll based, Robbie does the same thing I do for work. So we're both on the road. So like, I have to well, I've got, I'm flying out this day. I need to make sure I might be a day early, but I got to get my mow in, because if I wait until after we travel, then it's going to look like crap. So I'm always scheduling when to get my mow in. So I'm probably mowing tomorrow night. Just got back from a little vacay and need to get her caught up. But how frequently are you mowing right now?
Now, twice a week is what would be April, May, beginning of June, a lot of times, and it could be spaced out depending on travel, but I try to cut, roughly twice a week, because the grass is just, I'm pushing the growth, because it depends on the person that's actually what you're putting down, fertilizer, because that's what's feeding it in the water that it's getting. If you're feeding your lawn and you're watering it, then you're pushing growth, and so you probably do need to cut it, because it's the 1/3 rule of what you're cutting off the grass blade, which that's optimal for having healthy grass. You don't want to cut too much if you let it grow, which has happened to me many a times. When you travel, you get bit and the grass is really tall, and then I have to cut it and come back in a day or two and cut it again. But you really don't. You double mow. So sometimes you just got to cut it. When you just don't want it to get too long, and so it might be 3 days between mows. Sometimes it really did. With me, it just depends.
Well, Robbie, I know that we've go ahead, Red. You got a question?
Well, I like
watching. I like watching your face build up to the.
I got a million questions. Is there an optimal? So what I've learned is that I don't know shit about making my grass grow, but is there an optimal time to reseed or overseed?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Reseed. Absolutely. Best time is in the fall. And the reason being, there's 2 times: spring being okay, but fall being the best. Reason being is your ground temps is real important for germination. So you're looking at if you download, for instance, Lawn Care Nuts got an app. It's called a Yardistry app, and if you download it and you put in your zip code, it'll give you your or your area. No, it's a zip code, and it'll give you your soil temps. And so your soil temp is real important. And once you get below 55 degrees soil temps, it's hard for germination of the seed. So it's less. So in the fall, it stays warm, but we get cooler nights, so we don't get a loss of evaporation. So it's the best time is the fall. So that'd be the time I would say that you're gonna cut low. Depending on if you got a decent amount of grass, if you're not mechanical aerating when you go to do this seed, and put your seed down then. And then I would go over it with either peat moss or a weed-free straw, because you don't want to get a straw that has a lot of weeds, because then you'll be fighting it off. But fall's the best time.
You thatch pre-overseed?
You can, if you feel like you got a lot of thatch. It just depends on how if you let your grass get tall a lot, sometimes you can add to thatch. If it doesn't, because and you could, and I've got one you can borrow if you need one, but because I don't use my.
I just bought a dethatcher this past season.
Yeah, I've got a toe behind. I got the toe behind thatcher, but
there you go. You got a toe behind it. There you go. Yeah, you could dethatch. It'd be perfect to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, Nally and I do have it on the. He's got a yard notebook in his garage, and so we map when we aerate every season, and then we rent the aerator and share it from Home Depot, and then that's our day that he and I go and aerate the yard and then oversee. And then what's our seed there, Robbie? Do we need to tell the listeners what our seed is, or are we keeping that? Are we keeping
the
that
seed
top
I
secret?
love? It's not a new cultivar. It's Falcon 4 is a seed
was a
that
Falcon
I like.
5, but something happened.
Yeah,
but now
they
it's
changed.
Now it's Falcon
the Falcon
4.
4s you can buy it at Lewis. We buy it at Lewis Seed a lot, 50-pound bag. It's uncoated seed. It's a mixture of fescues, but it's a turf type fescue. So it's more of something you see on a golf course of fescue. So it grows. It looks really thick, but it's not hard to walk on, and it stands up to a lot of abuse. But one of the things I want to say, so it's taking care of your lawn. You could make it as simple as you want. If you fertilize at least 4 times a year, cut tall, try to hit that 1-inch watering, keep sharp blades. If you just played that game, you'd have a beautiful lawn just doing that. But then you could geek it up, and that's where you go into all the different additives you could do with the
unicorn
iron.
bees.
Yeah, all the different little there's a lot of different things you can do, but yeah.
Malorgan.
Well, no, that comes in the. I swear, if you use a fertilizer, my go-to fertilizer, they sell it at Lowe's, and now they won't have it anymore. But Stay Green Max is the best. I swear by it, and it'll tell you on the bag it feeds for 6 months. I don't know. It depends on the rain and your layout of your land. Because if you're on a hill, it's pushing that fertilizer down. But I'm telling you that fertilizer is awesome. So if you do want a fertilizer that really works, that's a great fertilizer to use. And then possibly. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Robbie.
No, I was gonna say, or in the spring, early spring, before soil temps get above 55, like we talked about, you might want to use a pre-emergent. That might be something to fight off some crabgrass being one of the main things you're trying to shoot for at that time.
We usually do that when you're when you're doing the germination too. I may not be able to say or know the word tangential, but I got Malorganite and germination down, boys. Robbie, we've held you up, buddy, and man, this has been a great show. Before we start to head towards the out, what's on the playlist, man? We need to have a Rob Pate song added. What's your go-to while you're cruising with the earbuds in?
Last week y'all talked about 90s music, and so there's a lot of '90s music on mine, from Soundgarden to well, I'm looking at it right now. Stone Temple Pilots is one of my favorite. Def Leppard's on there. I mean, there's not like, I mean, in any classic rock. I mean, I love country, but classic rock and '90s, you know, that right there is my favorite. But there's not like one song. You know, it's a playlist, and it's just, you know. But
just throw us out two things. We'll just add them in there just so that we can know when that comes across the playlist when I'm next mowing.
Give us two answers. We'll tell you if you're right or wrong on what you like.
Approve or deny.
Oh, you mean song wise? Song?
Yeah.
Give us two.
Black Hole Sun, Soundgarden. Okay. I like that, and then let's see, Def Leppard, Hysteria. I like that one. But
all right, I love some Def Leppard. Love me some Def Leppard. One and then, two, you know, Def Leppard.
Well, I was going to make a joke about that. I was like, if you got a zero turn, you may not be able to play air drums, but if you got a steering wheel, you can still play air drums playing some Def Leppard.
I never even thought about that. Poor guy can't have a zero turn, can he? Unless he got like a Captain Hook on there. Yeah.
Hey, if he can drum,
I don't know. He's pretty talented. I'd say he can probably do it.
Yeah. He'll figure it out. Yeah.
Yes.
Hell, I'm going to do just a Def Leppard playlist next time I'm playing and just think about that the whole time. Yeah. Well, boys, any parting questions before we let Mr. Rob Pate, the SodFather, go, the hose dragger? You know, no more ringing the bell. We need to, you know.
I'm glad I don't live in your neighborhood, because you would be, I would not be keeping up.
Yeah, no, very, very appreciative of the insights, man. I feel like I want to be part of the group text. Like, I don't think I can add anything, but I just want to learn. I just want to absorb.
Just send us screenshots, Craig. That's what we just need. We're not there yet.
What we've got going on right now is we inducted a new market partner this past year. There's the original four. There's like the original four that are in our group, but we inducted a market partner who was dying. He loves seeing our pictures on social media, but he just had somebody. They mowed their yards, and he's a big Pacers fan. And somebody striped painted his whole the front yard with the Pacers sign on the front of it. So pretty cool shit with spray paint. But yep, fun stuff, man.
Yep. Well, thanks for joining us. This has been fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I know it's not a topic for everybody, but I really appreciate you guys, and you all keep doing what you're doing. I love listening to you guys, and I love Craig. And I'm excited for you guys. This is a great journey. I mean, you got some great topics, and I appreciate you having me on, guys.
Hell yeah! Thanks, Robbie.
Appreciate it, man.
Right.
Well, thanks, listeners. We'll check in next week.
All right. Peace out.
Cut 'em up.
Later, guys.